Hey, what's up, guys? So, Bitcoin has continued up since the last video that I posted. We're currently in basically the final range between all time highs and the current price. There's not much resistance here. So, if we end up closing a weekly candle above 53K, I do actually think it's likely that we're going to test up to the 64 to 69K region, which I'm going to show you right now. I think something around like this would end up happening if we get a weekly close above 53K on Sunday. I think we'll test up to this area and then come back down before breaking all-time highs. I think something like this is likely. So a path of like this would make sense. And obviously, we'll see what happens. I don't know if we're going to close above 43K. We're not even above 40 or 53K currently. So it's close. It is about to be Friday, so usually the weekend price action kind of slows down. So I'm not sure if this is going to happen on Sunday. If it does happen on Sunday, it'll be the first time in Bitcoin history where it's broken above or has closed a weekly above the 0.618, which I'm going to show you right here. This is the retrace from the high to the low. This would be the first ever time in Bitcoin history, which isn't much because it hasn't had many cycles. There's only a few. But it's still, it would be like different compared to the other cycles where we had a weekly close before the halving. And this line right here is the halving. I'm going to show you the previous cycle. We tested above it for a second, but we only wicked above it. And then we never closed above it. And then this was the halving. And then a few months later, we broke above it. And then during the 2014 cycle, we tested it right before the halving, and then we had the halving, and then it was a few months after. So we never had a weekly close above this 0.618 retrace prior to the halving. And currently, we are in position to make that happen. And there's only 3 days left. So it's definitely looking like it's going to happen, but a lot can change, obviously, within a few days. So either way, I would say currently, if we get a close in this range, I think it's bullish. I think it's extremely bullish. We're seeing a continuation of the weekly. A lot of people thought that we were gonna get like rejected at this area. We ended up breaking above it. So if we get a close in this area, that would be a very good sign. If we can get a close above, I think that'd be extremely bullish. The worst possible scenario would be this rolling over below 49K and it's just a wick above. And in my opinion, if that were to happen, right, and I don't think that's going to happen currently, or I'd say it's the least likeliest thing to happen just based on the current price, but obviously things can change. If we end up wicking and it's just a wick above, I would treat that as a rejection. I would be like, hey, look, you know what? We tried testing above it. We didn't get above it. Historically, we've never gotten above it prior to the halving. So I think we would end up testing down here. And then from there, around the 44K range, we would just see what happens. And I would say there's support there. There's support around the 41K area. But if that didn't hold, then I think, yes, we would see lower prices. But that scenario is currently not the most likely. It's definitely leaning toward the least likeliest currently. So, we'll keep you updated. I'll keep you updated on how this closes. And I could say like right now, if we just close in this range, that's bullish, and then we'll look for the following week to see what happens. If we get a close above it the following week or this week, whichever week, I think we're going up to this area and we're testing all-time highs for the first ever time before a halving, which most people just didn't expect. Most people didn't see. There was a few people on Twitter that were mentioning it, so kudos to them if that actually ends up happening. And a lot of norms were broken in the bear market. We tested below the prior cycle's all-time high. Remember, we went down to 15K. That was a first. So it's not surprising that in this bull market, we're seeing norms broken the same way in the bear market we saw norms broken. So it's just, things that have never happened before are happening on the way down, and they might be happening on the way up too. So I'm going to show you Ethereum. Ethereum just looks beautiful. And I get like the whole ETH BTC ratio, which I've maintained this in my opinion, right? I think this is the bottom range. I think this is forming a bottom. I could be wrong. It could end up rolling over if we get a weekly close below this. Then yeah, I would expect a test of down here and perhaps, lower. But, currently it's hanging in there. I get it. Um, I wasn't bullish on the ETH BTC ratio this whole year or last year. I kind of just started mentioning it around the bottom for the most part. And I actually initially stated that we're in a gigantic range basically from this is the whole range, which is a wide range. And whichever direction, if we start getting weekly closes below here or above here, it would determine the next direction. We haven't seen either yet, and we will continue to wait to see one. Ethereum, though, this is just, beautiful structure. And I've been saying this for the past few days, weeks. It's higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, and just higher lows. So I think we're going to get up to 3,000. If you look at the monthly candle for Ethereum, right, this is just beautiful. And it's basically currently right above key resistance. So if it can get this close above on the monthly time frame, I think it's huge. I think we'd obviously see a test up of this 3,500 area. And essentially that would be the final resistance between there and all-time highs. So a lot of this is happening fast. A lot of things are changing constantly. I'm trying to do my best to keep everyone updated. I think I've done a pretty good job for like the past 6 months since this move started back in October or September. So I appreciate all the good comments, and I'll continue to keep you guys updated.